You've seen it, right? Scrolling through your feed, and there it is, that one incredible plant with massive, split leaves that just completely transforms a room. Well, that's almost certainly a Monstera Deliciosa. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down for you. Everything you need to know to grow your own masterpiece, whether you're just starting out or you're ready to level up. I just love this quote because it's so true. It perfectly captures the vibe, right? This isn't just another houseplant. It's a statement. It's a living piece of art that really does bring a little bit of the wild indoors.
So the real question is, are you ready to take on the king? Because by the time we're done here, you're going to have the complete blueprint to grow a happy, healthy, and absolutely stunning plant. Let's do this.
All right, first things first, let's get properly introduced to the star of the show. Really understanding what this plant is all about is the absolute key to helping it thrive.
So what is a Monstera Deliciosa? Well, it's famous for these giant glossy leaves and those cool natural splits they get. They actually have a name, fenestrations. It's a pretty neat adaptation. Out in the wild, it's believed they help big leaves handle heavy rain and also let sunlight trickle down to the lower parts of the plant.
Okay, let's get right into the most important part, what I call the 3 core essentials. These are the non-negotiables. If you can nail these 3 things, I promise you are 90% of the way to having a gorgeous Monstera. First up, light. This is a big one. Your goal here is to basically mimic the light it would get on a rainforest floor. So think bright but filtered, not direct sun. An east-facing window is usually the sweet spot. You want to avoid the extremes, right? Too much direct sun is going to literally scorch the leaves. But too little light will give you a sad, stretched-out plant with none of those iconic splits. Now, for the single biggest mistake that people make. Seriously, if you take away just one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Do not overwater your Monstera. These plants are so prone to root rot, and it is without a doubt the #1 killer. So how do you get it right? It's actually super simple. Just use your finger, stick it 2 or 3 inches into the soil, and if it's dry, it's time to water. If it's not, wait. And remember, it's going to need less water in the winter when it's not actively growing. And the golden rule, that last point, is non-negotiable. Always, always dump out the extra water from the saucer. Letting it sit in a puddle is just asking for root rot. And the final piece of the foundation is the soil. Look, your standard bag of potting mix from the store is basically a death sentence. It's too dense, it holds way too much water. You need something chunky and airy that drains really well, like this DIY recipe. That orchid bark and perlite create little air pockets that let the roots breathe and help prevent that dreaded root rot. Okay, so with those essentials down, your Monstera will definitely survive. But we're not aiming for just survival, are we? We want it to thrive. So let's kick things up a notch and talk about how to get that spectacular, lush growth. Here's the good news. If you're comfortable in your home, your Monstera probably is too. They love normal household temperatures, somewhere in that 68 to 86 degree Fahrenheit range. The real key here is just stability. Try to keep it away from drafty doors or blasting AC vents that cause wild temperature swings. Now let's talk humidity. Your plant will put up with average household humidity, but being a tropical plant, it absolutely craves it. If you can bump it up to 60% or higher, you'll be rewarded with healthier, bigger leaves. A humidifier is the easiest way, but just grouping it with other plants helps a lot too. And your plant will give you a warning sign. If you see brown, crispy leaf edges, the air is just too dry. Sooner or later, every plant parent runs into problems. But don't think of it as a failure. Think of it as your plant trying to talk to you. So let's learn how to speak its language and figure out the most common issues. This one. This is probably the #1 most asked question on any plant forum online. You see a gorgeous leaf starting to go yellow and the panic immediately sets in. But trust me, the answer is usually pretty straightforward. 9 times out of 10, maybe even more, the culprit is overwatering. So before you freak out, just check your soil and be honest about your watering habits. It could be something else, but it's almost always too much water. And also, keep in mind, it's totally normal for the oldest, lowest leaves on the plant to eventually turn yellow and die off. That's just part of its natural life cycle. And here's the other big one. You bought a Monstera specifically for those incredible splits, but all it's giving you are solid, heart-shaped leaves. What gives? Yep, the answer is almost always more light. Think of those splits, the fenestrations, as a sign of maturity. They're a reward the plant gives you when it's happy and getting enough energy to produce them. So if you're not seeing any splits, the solution is usually simple. Just gradually move your plant to a brighter spot. So once you've totally mastered the classic green Monstera, you might get that itch. You know the one. The desire to explore its rarer, more dramatic cousins. Welcome to the wonderful and sometimes expensive world of variation. This breaks down the big three for collectors. Now, the key challenge with all of them is basically the same. Those pretty white or yellow parts don't have any chlorophyll. That means they can't photosynthesize, they can't make food for the plant. This makes them way more delicate, much more likely to get brown spots, and they grow a lot slower. It's why they need some extra TLC, especially with their lighting. You know what's better than one amazing Monstera? More amazing Monsteras. Propagation is the ultimate reward. It lets you multiply your plant, make new ones for free, and share them with friends. And you know what? It's surprisingly easy to do. It really just comes down to these 4 simple steps. The absolute key to the whole thing is the node. That's that little thick, knobby bump on the stem. That's the magic spot where all the new roots will grow from. You just make your cut below it, pop it in some water, and wait. Honestly, watching the new roots start to form is one of the coolest parts of being a plant parent.
Okay, time for a pro tip that will seriously elevate your Monstera game. And this is a big one. Out in the wild, Monsteras are climbers. They grow up trees. So giving your plant a moss pole or a plank to climb on mimics its natural home and actually triggers it to mature faster. It is the single best way to encourage those huge split-up leaves we all want.
And to wrap up, here are a few tiny little habits that make a world of difference. Wipe down those leaves when they get dusty. Think of them like solar panels. They just work better when they're clean. Gently poke some holes in the soil with a chopstick to get oxygen to the roots, and give the pot a little quarter turn each week so it grows nice and even instead of leaning towards the window. And there you have it, the complete toolkit for Monstera mastery. You now have everything you need to take one small plant and turn it into a jungle centerpiece for your home. You're all set. The only question left is, what's your Monstera story going to be?